Trading the foreign exchange market carries high risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Trading on margin, utilizing leverage can carry an even higher level of risk that can lead to a complete loss of investment funds. So before deciding to trade the foreign exchange market or using any of our software alert products, you should carefully and diligently consider your personal investment objectives, level of experience, and risk tolerance. There is a possibility that you could potentially sustain significant loss. You should not invest any capital or trade that you cannot afford to lose. It is your responsibility to be aware of and understand all risks associated with foreign exchange trading and to seek professional advice from an independent certified financial advisor if you have any doubts. Auvoria Prime does not exercise trading authority over your trades. You and you alone exercise discretionary trading authority over every trade.
So having said that, let's go to the charts and let's go to, and we're going to go check out our calendar, Forex calendar, share that one. And right now, today's Thursday already. Oh, how time flies.
It sure does.
And it looks like we have some red folders at 7:45, which is in another couple minutes. Another 15 minutes with the euro. We have some red folders at 8:30 with the euro, so be careful of the euro today. And all the way down till 12 o'clock, there's a couple CAD folders that are red. So it's going to be probably a real quiet day, and then it's going to get real interesting, and then get quiet again. So I did look at the CAD Swiss. So let me change screens on that.
I do have some red folders for the U.S. at 8:30.
Oh, you do? Okay.
Yeah.
I have an unemployment claim at 8:30 with an orange folder. Maybe I don't know if that's your red folder.
I've got initial jobless claims 4-week average, and another jobless claims. All three of them are high.
Okay, that's at 8:30. So we'll be careful with that as well.
Yeah.
So today could be a quiet / volatile day. Who knows which way it's going to go. If I switch to this screen, I'm going to assume that you're still seeing the, what screen are you seeing now?
Your Forex factory.
Still seeing it, that's what I thought. Okay,
Yeah.
I just stop sharing, go back, share my screen. I'll do this every single time I change the screen here. My correlator, here we're going to check out the Hercules, or the Hercules. So basically right now we're looking at the British pound is on the higher time frame. The British pound is strong. It's relatively strong across the board on my 30 and my 15. So I like that part. The CAD is still gaining strength on all the time frames pretty much. And the Swiss is now getting strong on the lower time frame. So there's a little bit of a pullback going on with the CAD Swiss. It looks like it didn't really take off like I was expecting it to. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on that one. So right now we're looking at basically I like the British pound and maybe the British pound against the Aussie or the Japanese yen. So pound yen. So let's take a look at, check my CAD Swiss chart and see what's happening there, just to keep on top of it. CAD Swiss. See if there's anything we need to do. Okay, it is starting to come down. It is breaking through the bottom of this little trend line here. Now it is basically, it did break through on a 5-minute breakthrough. It came back. We have a trend line coming up. This could be a little bit of a head fake in this area. Now it is pulled back. It is right now, the Swiss is getting stronger on the 5-minute chart, which means this thing could actually start going down. I've got my stop all the way down here. I did enter this just before we entered into the room. I saw this close. I got on this little pullback is where I got in on the trade. And here's so if I'm looking at and this CAD was relatively strong at the time. So that's sort of changing directions a little bit, but here's the entry. Here would be the test one. Then there would be another pullback possibly to around this area to maybe get a second position in, which would dollar cost average the position. And then we would have probably target 1, 2, and then target 3. Let me get our zone set up in here. So with let's see here. Here's our range. Let me get the other lower time frame with the extensions. So right now, if this thing comes back to, we're on a little bit of a pullback right now. So I entered this trade here, and I got in when it came back to the heavy dash line. Now it's coming back to this yellow retest area right here where I have the 3 set. And that's where it is right now. And I have a choice. I could take another position, or I can just wait and see if it comes back up. If it starts taking out this little area here, I'll probably pull this trade, take my stop before I get a full stop out. And then if it reverses back position, fine, I can get back in again. But if it comes back here and starts retesting where my stop is, I may want to be thinking about possibly, actually this comes down with a 5-minute chart, and we have the strength of the Swiss, which is right now, the Swiss is pretty strong. Then I would probably close this position out on the pullback and then take it short, because right now it looks like it's reversing positions. So this is my first idea, was to come here and go long. That's not working out real well. I'm coming back to where my second position is. I can't take it because the Swiss is still strong. It could go down even further and probably even take my stop out. So right now we're having a break of a trend line, a pullback. If it closes, comes back and retests the trend line or this other line, I'm looking to maybe reverse positions and take this thing short. So right now I'm looking more of a reverse position where I get the 5-minute close. And actually we have the 5-minute close right here. It's getting long. I want to see it break the trend line. So once it breaks the trend line and closes below the trend line, comes back and retests this area, I will get out of my long position if this thing still shows that it's going to the strength to the downside. That'll give me a little bit a smaller stop out for reversal, and then with the potential of, and then this would be the second position. So right now, actually between right in here and here, I'm looking to see if this thing's going to change position. So this is really the area that I'm concerned about where this thing's going to go, if it's going to bounce around in between this 15 pip area. I believe this is going to be about 15 pips if I'm reading that right. That's 7, 8. That's right. We're on this Swiss pair 7. That's 7. That's the 7 pip range that we're looking at here. So it's not a huge range, but I'm looking right now. I'm looking at it may come down and possibly retest this, but right now it's kind of range bound in a very tight range, 7 pip range. Slide this over. You can see that this is a high here. So it's right now, it's sort of, you could get whipsawed pretty bad in here if you just keep on. I'm just going to be patient with it. I'm going to see what it does when it comes back up through. It may just keep cycling back and forth over this range up until that next announcement. So I'm just going to hold my ground with this a little bit and just see what happens. But right now it's just going, it's sort of trapped sideways. But if I get a strong move down, come back and retest, then I will go ahead and reverse positions. Any questions about that? I'm assuming everybody can still hear me okay?
Yep. Oh, yes, we can hear you.
Okay, all right. So let's see, anything, let's see what else we could look at here. Stop sharing. I don't know if I can stop this thing. And I just see the risk disclosure there when I do that.
I always see starting soon.
Let's go with the, let's go back to our correlator here and see what other things we can look at here. Let's see, we're looking at the British. Let's take a look at the euro is still kind of strong or weak rather. Let's take a look at the British euro. So let me get that one up here. Swiss, maybe slide this over to a duplicate. Bear with me until I get the chart up.
Okay.
British euro. Euro British, should have called that one. I'm going to stop. And I got to reshare. British. There we go. And we're going to take a look and see what this looks like. Again, we can see that the British is strong by 4 on the 15-minute chart. I already have some zones marked out here. Strong move down, closed below, closed above. So right now this thing is looking like it wants to give us a lot of trouble here. Here's a little drop. Here's the base. This would be a retest area. And looks like this looks like it may want to come on down with the euro. The euro is the first currency. We have the strength to the downside. I'm going to be favoring this to the, but right now this thing's kind of, this thing could give us a little bit of a whipsaw too, just like the other one did. We have a 3-point spread, which is good, but we haven't got the close on the our green fib line. Let's see what our ranges are on this. It should be 21 pips if I'm correct about that. Yeah, that's 21 pip range. So basically it went from this range down to here. And right now it's sort of kind of stuck. See what it looks like on the higher. Let me see what the overall range of this thing looks like. It's been going sideways inside this range since for the last week and a half. So right now we're coming into the bottom 25%. So basically what I'm going to be looking at is this quadrant right here. And we're going to look to see if there's going to be, I would say if this little area right here, this 21 pip area is going to be where our target's going to be. I would say if we do take this thing short, we're going to be looking at a target somewhere down right around here, about midway through this range. It's kind of an iffy trade, really. We're going to look at and see how it goes here. So we get the break. Get back onto a lower time frame here. So if we get, this is a nice drop coming back. It retested it. So with this move right here, I would be looking at a extension target. If this thing continues on down, we're looking at the 1-to-1 extension of this move from this pullback. So basically it's going to be like this. Draw a stick. And then come down to where the pullback was. And then this would be the target, which is pretty much right at the red line. But we got to get the 5-minute close on here. Right now on 50-minute charts. Excuse me. Go on a 5-minute chart. 7:45. We had a news announcement at 7:45. Let me see how my cat Swiss is doing on this. Cat Swiss broke. British. Right now, we can't take anything right now. It looks like an announcement. I mean, this is a big move for in such a short range. So we're going to hold off on that. We didn't get the 5-minute close on that. So we're going to have to wait at least another 5 minutes. This would be the target area right down in here. This is the bottom 25% of that area that we're looking at. So this is I'm going to be looking at this as being a green zone. So we'd want to be looking at taking a long down here. And let me check out the CAD Swiss here. That one's still hanging in there, okay. It came down, challenged my stop, but it's still not, looks like there was just that last move that we had with the Euro British affected the cat Swiss as well. So we wait and see what's going to happen here. We'll see how this candle closes. Now you're still seeing the Euro British chart, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah. I'm going to be testing my microphone here periodically just to make sure I don't lose everybody.
Oh, you'd hear from either me or Patrick for sure.
Well,
So don't worry, we wouldn't sit here with no sound.
unfortunately, if I don't hear any sound, then if that's a problem, then I'm not going to hear you tell me. So,
Well, if you don't hear any sound, then I'll just telegram you.
okay, that's a good idea. That's always a good backup. All right, so right now I'm looking to see what happens with this this candle right here. This is a real big whipsaw right here. So it looks like it wants to go short. We have the pound is getting stronger. We have a 5-point spread now. If this thing closes down, so with this one, if we get the close, it already came up and retested the retest zone. If I get the close, pull back to retest, target 1, target 2, and then start looking for a reversal again. Maybe even target 3 down. Actually, this would be target 3. This is the target zone. If we get this 5-minute candle close, we'll see if it closes below the orange, that blue line. And if it does, we'll start getting looking to go short with this. I'll start getting my chart set up here. And I'm going to do with let's try a limit, take profit of, let's just take a profit of 14. Take a stop of, our normal stop, we're going to go 2%. And we're going to do a limit order of, let's see here, where's my price? 85.62. 85. We have a 1.4 spread, so that's okay. That spread's not too bad. 62 looks like a good number, and I'm going to put a sell limit right there. If it comes back and tags it, then I'm in this trade. If it comes back and tags it and this thing starts flopping back over to getting real tight again, then I may want to rethink that. But right now, my trade's set. My profit's down here. My stop is up above the retest zone. But I still want to see this.
Oh, sorry. I thought you cut out because now all of a sudden it went dead silent.
Okay, yeah. I guess I have to keep talking the entire time or else you won't know that.
Well, no, as long as that gets a little tiring, I know.
Let me see. Let me check now if I do this, you're still looking at my screen, right?
Yes, the Euro
Okay,
GBP.
and if I can make that big, I can help there. I can start seeing what's going on. And I can check the chat box. Okay, this is good. So you can still see on my screen. I can now see the chat box. I see that.
Yeah, I can see your chart.
Okay, and you're not seeing my chat box or any of that stuff, correct?
No.
You're just looking at my chart full screen. Okay.
Yeah.
And it looks like this thing we did get the 5-minute close. Now the question is this thing going to Euro British? I'll go back over to the chart here to work this. It may not get me into this trade. My cat Swiss is still hanging in there, although I think I might pull that trade if it gets close to break even. The Swiss, let's see, Euro British. And if it doesn't get me into it, it doesn't get me in. But that's where my entry is going to be. If it gets close to it, if it gets within a couple pips and it's just a spread that's keeping me out of this thing, then I'll maybe move it to get it back more into a market order. But we'll see what happens here. But this, I believe, was that 7:45 announcement that has some effect there. And we have a 4-2 spread. It's starting to get a little bit tighter. Now I expect it's going to get a little bit tight when it pulls back as the euro starts getting a little bit stronger on the pullback. But if everything still holds well, then let's take a look on the 1 minute chart, see what it's doing. You still have a nice spread on the 1 minute chart. This is where a lot of times the 1 minute comes in. Here's a nice little drop base. This thing's going to probably go more short. Let's see if we can get in here. Still does want to take this, move down a little bit here. This may, I guess, get us into this thing. This was a drop, a little bit of a base. Now it's starting to drop again. It's actually coming into where my first target would have been. It just never got me into the trade. One and a half point spread.
Something triggered.
Somebody got triggered.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't me either, I don't think.
If it was me, it's an old.
My cat, I think
something.
my cat trade just got stopped out. I think that's what it was.
Oh, your trade got stopped out?
Yeah, the cat Swiss got stopped
Oh,
out.
oh.
It pulled back and didn't quite. So this thing's going short as well. Broke the trend line, and now we're looking at where's it going to go. Well, I'm not going to chase this one anymore. Now it's coming into this. Let's see, where's my charts here? Here's my zone. I have my numbers right here. That's only a 7 pip spread. So right now, so this is the first target. It hasn't. Once it hits the red line, then I can take it back. I can take it back again if it bounces back up into this area. This is really only 7 pips. It looks a lot more than that on this, but it's only 7 pips. So right now, if it pulls back up into this little basing area as a retest, and then I'll take this trade short. If it doesn't get me in, it doesn't get me in. I'm not going to chase it. I'll chase it a little bit, but not much. We have a nice strong move down. We're on the 1 minute chart. Let's go back to the 5 minute, see where we're at on the 5 minute. Right now, between the 1 and the 2, we probably have that's 85.62. We only have 5 pips in between this pivot low and to where this our target is. So I'm basically have it right in the middle. So if it comes back to retest this area, it may not get all the way up to the top, but I'll split the difference with this for the pullback. And my guess is what's going to happen. It may bounce, hit the red line, pull back, maybe retest this area. That would get me into this trade if it continues on trending on down. So right now we have here's a high. This is our basing area. It came back, retest the base. We actually have a little trend. You can draw a trend line from this area to this little pivot right there. And so this is our upper trend. We have there's a low. It's retesting this low. It didn't really close below this low down here. We may get a little bit of a pullback on this. I'm gonna use this little trend here. This was an announcement. This was a little shakeout with an announcement. Came right up, formed another. We tested this zone, so we actually have two trend lines, downward trend lines, and we have a little bit of a channel. Down in this area. Let's see, there's another. It does have the pressure to the downside. British is the second currency of the pair, and pressure to the downside. I said this may not get me into this trade. Check my other one here. Let's see if there's anything else we should look at here. Looks like the US dollar is weak right now. Let me check the British USD. As I'm switching back and forth, you may want to check your charts too. Right now I'm going to be looking at the British US dollar. And let me change my screen. And share from British dollar. It's taking off. And you should be seeing the British US dollar screen, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. I've drawn this one from before. Let me just see what the range on this thing looks like. Broke through all this. Let me redraw this whole thing again. So get some drawing practice here. What I'm looking at to see where's the price and where's the less significant high, less significant low, at least within a couple of days ago, because this is the channel that it's basically trading in the last few days. So from here, this is back August 26th to the top up here. So I'm just going to draw my trend line or my range from there to there to try and catch that area that it's trading in. Make this a little thicker. This is my range and my range markers. Oops, wrong one. Oops. This is my higher time frame range. Basically, this is the range that's going sideways in. Comes down here, reverses, comes up here, reverses. So right now it's coming on up it's in the upper third of this range. This is the area that we're looking at right now, but we also know that this was where the blue line is. So we're going to try and catch where the upper 25% of this whole range is. So take this and divide this into thirds. If I take the upper 2/3 of this range, this is going to be the 25% range right up here, using two of these sections. Ugh. This is basically my sell zone. And then my buy zone is going to be down here. Green. And now I'm going to take this area and find out where we are from the higher time, medium standpoint, medium time frame. Those are my triggers. Back to my 15-minute chart. We have a trigger here, here's a trigger, and then we have the targets in between. Now I said, once it gets up into this area, you want to be real careful about taking it long because you're up into the upper zone of the range that it's been sitting in for the last couple weeks. That's my 5-minute chart. Let me tweak this a little bit here. Okay, so right now this should be the 21 pip range. And it is. Double check that. Now I'm going to draw my targets. So I take that third and divide it by thirds, and I'm going to use this with the extensions. And so now if it breaks the trigger, actually what I'm going to be expecting this thing to do is going to come up here, maybe break through this green band. If it goes up into the sell zone, it may wick up in here, close below, then look for a close below here to take it short down to this area. But right now we can't do that because the British pound has the strength to it. So we wait. I'm going to send an alert right on this area. I want to see a break above, so I'm going to send an alert here, so it'll bring me back to this chart if it triggers. Add the alert. And that way, if it goes up, once it crosses that, it'll bring me back to it and see what we're looking at. And the Euro British still hasn't gotten me into the trade and it's still trending lower. So if you did get into that trade earlier, you're still good. You're still in the money zone. Now I'll go back to that chart and show you what I'm looking at. British, Euro British. Probably an easier way of doing this. Euro British. There we go. And you should be back to seeing my Euro British chart. And so this thing never got me into the trade. It's now coming in. It did close below. We did get the cross of the red line. So now I can still take this thing short on a pullback. So in for a pullback on it. And if we get the pullback, then we can be looking at target. If we're going to get in up here, we can be looking at the targets down this area. I said, once it gets into this area, you want to start looking at taking your profits because this is the extension. Or if it comes back in this area, you may be looking to maybe take it long on a reversal. If this thing stays, if this thing flips. But I don't want to just jump in. I want to get in on a nice little pullback. And just be patient with it. Here's the cross. There's our red line. We have the cross below. So it still gives us the momentum saying that we can take it when it comes back on up to retest this area. And I'll just sort of split the difference here on the pullback. These are only 7 pips apart. So if we have almost a 2 pip spread, I give up 2 on the spread down below and 2 on above. So I can pretty much try and move this thing down to about halfway, which is going to be right around the area where this got breached. Here, this was sort of like a drop. This was a basing area that got broken. So if I can almost take this area. Oops, one. Here's a little basing. This would be the retest. This was an area that got broken. It dropped, it based, came back, pulled back, and then broke through that. There were some set buyers that came in here. Now the buyers are sitting down below, but there may still be a few sellers coming in when it pulls back up to this area, like me. Any questions, comments?
You've got Patrick is locked and so is Sean.
Oh, what happened? I just lost the room. Are you still there?
Yep. Yep. Can you hear me?
I hear you, but for some reason.
I hear you too.
Okay, thanks. I mean, I gotta stop sharing here because I don't see where the room is anymore on my. What the heck?
Might be behind something if you
Well, it wasn't
still
earlier.
here.
It's weird. Oh boy, let's see. Hang on, I can't see the room anymore. Let's try that. Okay, you're still there. There's the tab. And where the heck that tab go? That is too weird. Huh. And you're still looking at my chart, correct?
We see the starting soon.
Oh, you do? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Well, let's try something else here. Let's see. Let me see what happened. I know that you're still there. That's a good thing. Oh, man. Push US, see what happens. I wonder why that did that. Huh. Oh, well. British pound. Okay, so we stop that one. Go to Euro British. That's one we're looking at. So you should be looking at the. Where did that thing go? This is too weird. Now did I lose you?
No, we're still
No?
here. Can you like
Yeah,
minimize?
now you're seeing the starting soon screen again.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can. I can. All right, and here's what I'm going to do. I found it, and now okay. Now let's go back to sharing screen. Tab. Euro British. I think is what we're looking at. Now you should see Euro British again.
Yes.
Okay. And let me see if I can check the chat. Okay. Got it. I see, I got some people here. I didn't see. I'm going to unlock everybody here. Patrick's locked. I thought we had you unlocked there, Patrick. You got to come
Patrick's
back again.
locked. Sean is still locked.
Unlock everybody here. Everybody should be able to use your microphones if you have something you'd like to say or bring up. We're welcome any input you might have. And any questions, any comments, anybody?
Hey, Al, I have a quick question. This is Janine.
Sure. Yeah.
Is there, since I've been out of the picture for such a long time, do you have any recorded videos that show what your parameters are on some of your indicators that are on your screen?
Actually, we do have we made a video. We're seeing how we can release it. If we have any, if there's any type of requirements before we release the video. But Brian and I made a video on actual the entries, the target zones, what the ranges were for the targets. It's basically and basically we're looking at pretty much 21 pip ranges and going for 7 pips is primarily the basis. We're using a 15 pip stop. Whenever I draw these ranges, like on this, let's see, let me get on the chart here. Hang on a second. Let me get back to the.
Yeah, like the indicators that you have your lines on, it looks like you've got, I'm assuming they're fib lines, but you've got like different numbers in there.
Yeah, well, you've been with us for a while. We've been talking about these fib lines, these institutional fib lines that we have programmed onto the charts. I'm supposed to meet with Tyler this afternoon or this morning to discuss more about how we're going to get this happening. And really what we're looking at doing is getting those programs onto the MT4 platform along with all the indicators that we've been using, which is like this Hercules, this RCS tool on the bottom, the FIP lines, and those are the 2 main ones. We also
those I have. Yeah, those I have.
Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's right. You were one of the people that were able to get those earlier.
Yeah, but as I'm watching you draw some of these things, but I guess the parameters, it almost looks like you're using a tool on the bottom that I see that where you were drawing your, I won't say zones, but the
fib lines. This tool. Well, wait, I've got to change charts here. Hang on a second. I'm good. Euro British. Let me get on that chart here so I can see what. So this tool down here.
Yeah.
This one basically is a regular. This is basically just your regular Fibonacci retracement tool.
Yeah, and that's what I was asking, because apparently you've changed like the default to something different.
Yeah, let me show you what the defaults are on this one. Just since you're asking the question, and we kind of have a little bit of time here. It's just basically fib retracement tool. Now I used on my tool, what I have these set for, and I just turn them on and off for depending on how I want to use them. But these are the parameters that I have my tool set for. Now these are the main fib tools: the 76.4, 61.8, the 0.5, 38.2, the 23.6. Those are what the main what I call the traditional Fibonacci ranges are. Now what I've done is, and I do a couple different things, and I'd like to see where a range is and find where the upper 25% of the range and the lower 25% of the range. Hence, that would be where the 76.4 comes into play and the 23.6 comes to play. It's roughly, that's not exactly 25%, but it's close enough. Mm-hmm. So what I'll do is I'll use that tool, turn it on. Let me just close this, clear this all up. Because this is a really good question. So here's that. Here, I'm gonna make this real thick here so I can. So what I have, the one tool set for, and I just have default set for different things, but for the basic range that we were just talking about, you can see this is the upper, here's the range, here's the upper 25%, that's the 76.4. The red line down here is the lower 25, that's the 23.6. Now, what I like to do is once I get the range, I like breaking the range up into thirds. And so when I break it up into thirds, so rather than having this one turned on and this one turned on, I set up a new set of parameters down below, which is basically going to be, let me get my other chart up, template. This one right there. I think this is the thirds. So I basically have the same tool. I just matter what I click on and click off. So these are the ones I've just showed you: the 76, 61, half, 38.2. Right now I've turned those off. But what I did, I added the thirds, like a 0.3333 and a 0.6666. So basically, what that does, that breaks this whole range into thirds. And I really like using the thirds because basically that fib tool that we're using, that's basically based on a factor of thirds with the different clocks, for lack of a better term. So once I have my range, so I can take the same tool, and you'll find out a lot of times that if you actually turn this fib tool on, you're going to find out that the overall range is going to fall pretty close to, when I look at pivots, it's going to fall pretty close to those different ranges. But what I really like to see is I like to see about a between the two blue lines here. I like working with about a 60 pip range, because that can break that into thirds. Then that gives me, if I have a 63 pip range, which is what those fib tools end up being in, that gives me 21 pip zones. From here it's 21 pips. This zone here is 21, and this one here is 21. And then I break that down into thirds as well. So basically, when I have my 60 pip range, let me just put my fibs on. I'm getting away from this. Actually, let me find another chart here, just so since we have this thing set here. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'm just going to pull this trade. Let's keep things simple. Okay, so if I have my fib tool, and I go from my blue line to blue line, which is basically what, I mean, you have this tool, so you know what I'm talking about here. Here's my blue line down below. Here's my green line, and my next blue line's up here. Now, this does change a little bit on a yen pair because of just the factor of what the yen reference is to the dollar. Is 100 to 1 versus a 1 to 1 or a 2 to 1. So, but all these are this zone between the blue zone. These are all 21 pips. This is a good example for everybody here. So that's 21 pips there. You can, that's 20.2-ish, 21.8. So there's 21 pips there. So each one of these zones is 21 pips. If I break that down into thirds, and that's why I said I'm using the solid lines and then the heavy dash lines for my triggers. So if the price is, like right now, the price is in between this green and the blue line. So so now the fact is between this green line and the blue line, I'm interested in this. We're working in this third right here. And that's going to be this 21 pips range, but each one of these now are going to be, actually, no, yeah, hang on, let me get my other chart template up here. Over time frame, let's say. So right now, each one of these should be 7 pips. Actually, this is going to be, I got something. Oh, I know what the problem is. I'm on a 5-minute chart. That's what the problem is. Let me start over again. Bear with me. I apologize for that. Let me get on the 15-minute. I always start on the 15-minute chart. Get my 15-minute zones, my blue zones. Hang on a second. I got a German Shepherd sitting here bugging me here. Okay, I'm on my 15-minute chart. At my zone, so I'm looking at the, start over here. So see where my red, here's where my price is. Here's my blue zone, here's my blue. So I'm going to draw all this, and this should be pretty much about 60 pips. Blue to blue. Then make this one the heavy color. Higher time frame. There's the blue, there's the blue. And if I measure this distance, it should be about 63 pips. That's right, about 63. So that means this zone's 21, this zone's 21, this zone's 21. And then, so now I go to my, if I go to my 5-minute chart, and I put the zones on, you can see that these are going to be 21 pips. These are the thirds between this blue and this blue. That's not a 15-minute. We're going to go 5-minute here. Make sure I got this thing right. Yep. You know, come on, 5-minute chart. Now you'll see that every between, let's see, where is it? 5 minutes. Make sure I got these zones right here. I think I may draw the wrong one here. I'm going to get this right yet here. Blue. $15 minute. 15 minute. I'm looking for blue to blue. And that's going to be here. There we go. Now we go to my 5 minute, and I'm change this to a 5 minute. Change this to a 5 minute. I should see between each of these heavy zones, I have my other zone, my 5 minute zone. So right now I'm breaking these down. Here's a 5 minute, 5 minutes. So now these are 21 pips apart. And then here's where my price is. So right now we're looking at the price is right between, let's see a little bit. Where's my heavy lines? I always struggle a little bit off my laptop. So now I'm going to be, so right now these are 21 pips apart, I believe, 60 pips apart. Now I'm going to break this into thirds. And that's where the settings on this tool come into play, or the, I'm going to use these are by dash lines. So these are trigger, the heavy black lines and the heavy dash lines are going to be what I call the triggers. So once the price breaks through the triggers, I break that down into thirds, and that's where my 7 pips come into play. Because you'll find out that a lot of times, what I find out with the Forex especially, it moves in 7 pip movements, but oftentimes within 21 pip ranges. So if I have a 21 pip range and I have the direction, then once it crosses this, I'm really looking for this as a target, but I'm only trying to grab 7 pips out of it. So then from this area to this area, I'll draw it again, and then these are going to be my targets. Move this over here, line those up, line these up. So when we get the close below this, and we have the RCS tool saying that the euro, in this case, the euro would be weak and the pound would be strong. The pound is, if the pound is strong, then that means we want to be looking to go to the short side. And you can see right over here where the pound got stronger, here's the red line. When the pound got stronger and across that line, I can take that trade. But usually what I'm looking for is I'm looking for a little bit of a pullback. So I want to get the close below. I want to get the close below that line. I want to see a pullback to that line, which this one, in this case, it never did pull back. And then this would be the target 1, this would be the target 2, and then target 3 would be down here. If you want to try it. But every time it crossed the red, once it crossed the red line, I'm looking for another pullback to retest this area. So now that in fact it crossed, ideally I would like to see it close here, allow me to get into the trade, and this is target 1. Well, it never got me into the trade, but it did reach to where target 1 is. But now that allows me to take the trade back here. Or if it pulls back to the 2, it can pull back to the 3, I'm going to take the trade, and then this is going to be the target. Because we're looking at this thing drop, pulls back, drops again, pulls back, it starts trending all the way till it gets down to this area. Once it gets down there, you've got a potential 3 different trades, 7 pips each, you have a potential 21 pips all within a very short period of time. Does that make sense? Did I confuse anybody?
Yeah, well, I'll have to practice on it, but
Yeah, but that's basically the theory. I see you've got the tools too. So basically, now just keep in mind if you go to a yen pair, these 721 pip ranges are going to be you almost have to move it to another time frame.
right.
And I was like, rather than using 5 minute, use the 15, because ideally what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find out where my triggers are and then have that divided, getting at least somewhere between 5 and 10 pips for each of those ranges for my targets. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But keep in mind that you have to be, especially when we're scalping like this, keep in mind of the spread, because if you get some of those, especially the New Zealand pairs,
Mm-hmm.
you'll have a relatively high spread. You can get a 3-4 pip spread, and that kind of throws the whole thing out of whack, because if you're only going for 7 pips and you have a 4 pip spread, you're really going to need a bigger movement than 7 pips in order to make any money out of the deal. So you have to be aware of what your spread is. Now, anything under 2 pips, I'm pretty much okay with as a standard. But you can see, like right now, this thing's basing. So it came down and hit the red line. We got to close below there. So now I can take this trade anywhere. So I usually look, if it comes back to the 2, great, I can get in. If it comes back to the 3, I can be a little bit more aggressive and take it, because I'm still expecting this to hold. Once it gets back above this yellow line, which is just another extension, a 7 pip extension, I can even take it there if this is still telling me that it's still in the right direction. And so so basically what we have here is we have a drop. It's basing. I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 candle base, which is a pretty significant. I like a shorter base than that, but it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I can take this trade. We still have the strength. British pound still. We had a pullback. Still have a spread by 3 on the 5 minute chart. I can take this trade. So I do, and again, I'm going for 7 pips. I'm going for a 15 pip stop, which is kind of reverse what we've oftentimes been taught. But you need that range in order to, because of the spread. And I said, I rarely do I take a full stop out. Normally, if I might be able to watch the chart, if it comes up here and starts, and I would probably like to see this thing a little bit over above that, because of this initial move, when this closed below here on this 5 minute chart, it closed below my heavy dash line. I can take a pullback. I'd like to see a pullback to here. If it pulls back up to here, I can still take it. So if I take a position here, I can allow myself to take a second position before I get stopped out. But now I got to move my stop a little bit. But as long as that holds, then I've just dollar cost averaged my 2 positions to about here. Now my break even is just about where it broke. So if I feel, but again, I want to make sure that the strength is still in my favor on the pullbacks. So, but in this particular scenario right now, it never got me in up here. It already hit my first target. So I can take it, the fact to hit this red line, my target area, and I still believe in the trend, and I can take it on the pullback to here or to the 3. And then my next target is number 4. And then my next target is number 5. And by that time, I'm pretty much done with the sequence and I'm done for the day.
Okay.
But you can see how this thing, it dropped, it based, and I expect it's going to drop again. And oftentimes, if you do the extension from where it came down to drop and pulled back, if you draw a stick, that's what I had earlier. And actually, that's where this extension tool comes into play, this one right here. You have the top, it pulls back, here's the bottom. Here's where it pulled back. Generally speaking, it will pull back and it will, get this down here a little bit. And the extension of this, from the pullback, it'll come down here to a 1-to-1 extension, which is going to be this area right in, make sure I get the right one here. See where my tool is. Which is going to be, this would be the target area down here. Get too many lines of getting myself confused here. There we go. So here's the drop. Here's the base. Pulls back. However far this thing pulls back. Here's the origin. Here's the bottom of the base. It pulled back to this area. And so then right now, then it's history has it, if it's a drop, a base, it's going to drop again the same length or more of this move. And so then the target would be down here at the 78 to this area right in here. And if you look and see, you can see where that's going to be pretty close to right where that dash fib line is for the end of our zone. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to be try and run some extra sessions just to explain some of the methodology that we use here in the Hawkeye room. I think that might save a lot of questions. And right now with this trade, the British pound is still strong. I like seeing a 3-point spread in the direction that I'm trying to trade this thing. Euro is the first currency of the pair. That means if the euro was strong, this thing would be going up. Well, the euro is weak, so it means it's going down. The British pound is stronger, heading to the downside. I took my trade, had the cross, had the retest, but barely retested, just basically based, and I'm looking for my target. And so the target zone is basically let's see, this, it's going to be basically this range in here. I really don't need the extensions on this one right now, but we'll keep it there anyway. So here's the origin at the close the 5-minute close below, looking for this to test the line, target 1, target 2, and actually target 3 is right down here where the ultimate target is. If this drop moves, this target should get hit. And that would be one reason maybe to stay in this trade. Once you get into this trade, I would still like taking my 7 pips and go home, but if everything looks good, this target should hit, maybe bounce back, and then give us our ultimate target, which is down here. And what's really nice is when the price action, with the drop, the base, the pullback, when that extension tool aligns with the target right at the end of the move, the projected end of the move, that's a pretty good sign that this is a pretty good trade. That's a good question there, Janine. Thanks for asking it. I'm sure there's a lot of other people that needed that explanation. Let me ask the question. I'm assuming everybody's still here.
Yes, we're here.
Let me ask the question. With a show of hands, how many people have TradingView, or at least a demo platform of TradingView? 3 of you. Janine, you already have it. What I'd like you to do is, if you have TradingView, send an email to Trademasters. Trademasters@gmail.com, and send me your email and send me your TradingView login username. And I'll see if I can't expedite a process for you to get some of these, especially the RCS tool, because that's really the one that we can circumvent some of the others, but the RCS tool is probably the one that's harder to circumvent.
I have that one.
Yeah, you do, Janine. You do, right?
Right. I have the RS. I'm on the RCS, and then I have the
fib plotter.
The fib plotter. The other ones that we used to have, they took away. So there was two others that I forget what they were now, but they took those away.
Well, if you still have those, then you're still under that system we had before we got started here with the change the system here. But and that's okay. That's all going to change eventually. But right now, I just wanted to see if I'm going to try and talk to Anthony here and see if we can get, especially the people that are faithful attendees to this room. I want to get these tools to you guys one way or the other. I want to get them to you. So we're working on trying to get them programmed for MT4, and I'm going to have a meeting with Tyler about that today. So let's see where we're coming with that process. Okay. So just send me, and that's Trade Masters. There you go. I'm putting a chat box
at Gmail.
Yeah, trade with TRAIDEMASTER. Masters. Gmail.com. I can't make any guarantees, but I'll see what I can do. I said the tool isn't mine to give away, but I have Anthony's ear about trying to get this stuff available to you guys. It's just been frustrating at the least, but I'm not giving up. So anyway, you can see this trade right now. This trade's working out. We had a nice little drop, had a little base. Right now, I did get in on this little pullback on the basing. I just did the market entry, and I'm looking to hit. That's coming into my first target right down here. And so once it gets into that target, now remember we got the spread that we have to deal with right now. We 1.3 spread. So basically, the sell line's got to come through my target and go through the spread in order to get filled. So if it comes down and just starts hitting this little target zone here, this just starts hitting it and just stalls, I'll just close the trade out manually because I don't want to be giving back wins. And then if I just get out, if it pulls back again, I can always get back in again. But I'd like to lock in profit, especially early in the morning, the first trade of the day. I usually like taking profits early just to kind of get positive right off the bat. But so once it comes down, but I'm looking at this thing has a potential hitting this little target area down here. But and actually, this is going to be pretty much of this zone right here. This target is going to be pretty much the lower 25% of this zone. If I were to draw my regular Fibonacci line, I forget to change it. You're British. Here. If I draw the regular Fibonacci line in between this area, you're going to find out that this is going to be actually we draw from here to here. I bet you're going to find this target is going to be right at the 25% zone. Let me see if that holds true. As I just have templates made up for the different things I'm looking for. Actually, this is the lower 25% right here. And then this is the upper 25 of this range right here. This is the upper 25%. And so whenever the price is range bound, it usually goes from the upper 25 to lower 25 and back to the upper 25. And you can oftentimes just play that range all day long. But you have to just let it come to you. Right now we came in, it kind of wicked back up. So this is the 25 of this 21 pip range. There's 25%. There's 25%. And then in all essence, you can just sort of pretty much get rid of all this other stuff if you wanted to. Just say, when it gets up here, I'm taking a short. When it comes down here, I'm taking a long. When I'm in between, I'm just going to be patient until it either comes up here, gives me another entry, or comes down here and gives me a target. I don't even need this part anymore. Right now, I'll be happy if once it comes down here, if it gets into this zone, I'll be out of this trade. I don't have to think about it anymore. And if I were to be doing like a set and forget, that's exactly what I would do. Is I'd have my stop. I could probably keep my stop. I could probably even pull my stop a little bit. I'd probably pull my stop up. If I were to be leaving this trade, I'd be looking at this area right here. I'd probably put it right somewhere above this area. And that's only, I just save myself a couple pips if I got stopped out. But right now the momentum is that it's going to be to the downside. Here's a trend, here's a pivot high, here's a pivot high. As long as I can keep my stop above this trend right here, I should be good to go. And the likelihood of it coming down and hitting my target is really pretty high. We have a nice spread here on the British Euro. Nice candle formation coming down. That's a nice little candle coming down, pulled back about halfway. And right now, this thing is starting to trend. We have a high, lower high, lower high, lower low. Get nice little doji right in here. And now it's starting to trend. And we're about 15 minutes before the, well, actually about 9. I see, oftentimes I see a lot of good moves between about 8:30 and 8:45, the 9 o'clock time frame, as it's starting to set up for the U.S. market to open. And we'll see if we hit my target. Boom, there it is. Trade's done. 2% locked in for the day. I did get stopped out on that first one. Let's see how the cat Swiss is doing. Let me change my screen here. Cat Swiss. Actually, that one's looking like it may have some potential here. Stop sharing. Cat Swiss. Share screen. Boom. And you should be seeing the cat Swiss. And we're going to do the same thing with this one, see where this one's at. Now, the thing I don't like about this particular one right now is the spread isn't there. Right now, they're kind of fighting for last place. But it did come down. It did break this wedge. It did come back and retest it. Now, I missed. Now, I got into the trade over here. It came down, tested, broke the trend line. Actually, this is where I got in, right here, right before 7. That's about a little after 7 o'clock. I got in. Came down, broke the trend line. A little concerned about it. I said, okay, when it pulled back, when it pulled back up, I was going to get out of it. Well, I was distracted with the trade room trying to explain some things. I missed that. So I missed the pullback, but ideally I would have wanted to, if I was long and it broke this trend line, came back and retested it, I should have gotten out of that trade. I shouldn't have had to wait for it to get stopped out. And you can see, like right now, my stop, my stop was right about in here, a 15 pip stop. Yeah, my stop was right about in here. I got stopped out, but also said that there's a good chance that it's going to reverse, but I can't take it because now it did break this trend line, but it did respect this pivot of this daily move. If I look at the 15-minute chart on this, and look and see what kind of a range we have. Let me do this. Get back to 5 minutes. Start with a 15-minute chart. Expand it. See where my range is for the last couple of days. I'll go to a higher time frame just so I can catch these, see what this thing's been doing. And I'm going to see, is it trending up or is it going sideways? Well, from what I'm seeing here, this pivot since August 29th till the current, it's been going sideways inside this range. So this is my playground from here to here. Now, if I have the fib tool, I'm going to see there's a blue line right here. So if I'm be looking for blue to blue, or right now it's sort of in between like the green and green, but here's the blue, here's the blue. So this pivot was significant. This just brings us back to August 20th. It just extends the range a little bit, but this is the range I'm really looking at right in here, where it's tracking. So I just go from blue from here, where here's the price, here's my blue line, here's my blue line, and I draw the fib line. There's my higher time frame, blue to blue. I'm on across, and you're going to see that the areas that extend beyond where the blue lines are pretty much my overshoot area. Now, it hasn't gotten above into this next zone. And also, we can tweak this up here. I'm going to lock that. So right now, here's the overshoot area up here, but we're in the upper third. Actually, this is the 25% range up here. This is the upper 25%. Of the blue range. Here's the lower 25%. Now I'm going to just put these, rather than using the standard fibs, I'm going to change this to my thirds. This would be the higher time frame, blue to blue zone. You can see that the upper 25, this is the third, and here's the third. Well, right now it's kind of fighting right into this area, but we know that this is the range it's been playing in since August 19th. Now, you can also do, if you don't have the fib tool, and this is what I've been kind of going back and forth a little bit because some people have it, some people don't. I just want you to see that it doesn't really matter whether you do or you don't. You can still work the same system. Here's a pivot. Here's a pivot low. And you see these lines really aren't that far off, relatively speaking. And what I'm saying is that the institutions, if you're looking at daily time frames, the institutions are driving things up to those fib lines. So if you can find a multiple daily range, you'll find out that your blue line fib lines are going to be pretty close to being in line with what the institutional lines are anyway. So it just makes it a little bit easier to draw the charts, but you can do it with or without it. I just want to make that point. Take this one off, go to our 15-minute chart, see where our price is right at the moment. Now here's our upper 25 zone. So we know that we want to be looking at more going short up here. It's fighting this bottom third, but once it breaks through this area, then we're going to be looking at this range in here. And that range is going to be, it should be, I believe, 61 pips. Each one of these zones are roughly 63 pips. Spread this thing out. And once it gets into this area, and this is the middle of the whole move, this is where you're going to see a lot of your action is going to be. So once it breaks into here, it's going to be looking to come down to retest. Now, it may take a little bit longer time, but nonetheless, that's what it's going to be doing, or more than likely. So once we get the close below, I'll see a little bit more. That's kind of an iffy close right there. You see it's pulling back. So I'd like to see another close below. So basically right now I'm looking to see what is my RCS tool doing? And that's saying that it's pretty much not tradable. They're fighting each other right now at this area. They're fighting each other. Once we get a commitment that's going to break, then we're going to be looking at the movement of the close, the retest, and then we've got 60 pips in between this area. So if you want to be on a more of a swing trader, you'd be looking at top third, middle third, target. If you're a scalper, which is what we do pretty much in this room, you're going to be breaking this area down into thirds from here to here. I'm going to divide that, and these are all thirds. And this is where I used my intermediate template for the middle breakdown for my triggers. Oh, wrong one. This is the right here. These are my triggers. Notice the trigger on the solid line and the heavy dash lines are the same. This is a trigger, same with this line is the same as that one. Then you got these other intermediate ones. So once we get the 5-minute close below the solid line, somewhere over in here, and we look for the retest, and then we look for this. Now this would be more of a swing trade for this one, because these are now 21 pips apart. So for the scalping, I break this one down into thirds again. And that's where I used my target zones. From here to here. And I'll have the extension on that. So this is the templates. Here we go with the, and these are my targets, the small dash lines. Bring it over. Let me get onto a lower time frame chart. Check my chart. Right now the CAD is strong by 3. We have a 5. The CAD is the first currency of the pair. So right now we want this thing to be going. We would want to be taking this thing long, but we don't have anything to trigger because we're also in the upper part of the zone. Now it could go very much deeper, and you could actually get some trades going up into here. But especially if you get up in the upper third of this area, I would not want to be taking any more trades, especially up in this area. This would be a let's see where we at here. This area right up in here is, I mean, if you want to take it, I say in the bottom half of this higher time frame zone, you'd probably be okay with that. But I would not, once it gets up into this area, I'd be hesitant about taking anything long. I'd be looking for shorts up of that. So if this thing comes up, breaks through here, you could possibly get another trade at 68 to 49. You can another 15. You could get your 7 pips out of this on the breakthrough. Again, right now the CAD's strong, but you're in the upper part of the zone. I would much prefer to see it come on down, retest, and then start looking at this lower, at this lower section here. But for all practical purposes, you can move this thing up to, this is the zone, here's a blue line to blue line. You can move this all up to bring that blue line up to the bottom, and you could probably use this as this thing broke through the top. Did we get a retest? I don't know, let's see if we did. Reverse the position of this. The CAD is strong. Now, it wasn't until just recently we did get the 5-minute close. So right now, I mean, you could possibly be looking at. We had the break, the close, and it's coming up to the third target right up in here. Let's see. If I have to close above the red line here, it is okay if it pulls back to the green line or this line, and this thing's still showing strength to the CAD, then you could take it on up. But I wouldn't take it any higher than that, because you're getting up into the upper part of where the zone is. And that's about all I have to say about that one. This is where this RCS tool really can help keep you out of harm's way a little bit, because you want to have the strength in your favor. And if this thing isn't showing the strength, then you're probably not going to have the velocity and the momentum of the move to get you to your target. I said our targets are not that far away. It's only 7 pips. But if you don't have the wind to your back one here, it could cause you some real problems. Okay. And I don't know what else to say about that one. Other than this, if you want to take this one long, which it is in a long position, I'd be real careful about how deep it goes into this area. I still favor more to the wait for it to lose its steam and then wait for it to come back down into this area for your targets. Because this is as a lot nicer potential for, because like these are now 21 pips apart right in here. And just goes from this area down to this area, bounces a little bit, and then it goes down to this area. And once it gets down there, and then it starts looking to go back up again, because this is your playground range right in here. This is a range that it's been playing in for the last couple of weeks. So don't ignore these higher time frames. I said when I'm setting my ranges, I like to see what it's been doing at least to see what it did the day before. And if you're looking for more of a longer term trading area, then just go back a little bit deeper. But this is where all the prices have been hanging around for the last several days. Once it breaks this one, it's going down into here. And if you look over here, you'll see this is where the playground was. Thought it moved here, it came back up, came right back in this area, came back up again. Once we get going a little bit more, I'm going to start getting a little bit more into harmonics. And that's another way to be able to find out ranges. And there's a thing called harmonicpatterns.com. It costs like $30 a month to subscribe to it. But it gives you the harmonic patterns. And once you learn how to trade harmonics, it helps find those different ranges as well. And that's a tool you can just get right off the internet. And if you want more information about that, I can get that to you as well. But you can see that here's a nice big move down, came back up. Sort of, it was sort of hanging right around into this. If I slide this over and lock this, if I slide this over, you'll see how you can see how all this price action is right in this area right in here. So this is the real significant area. Once it breaks this, it's going to be it, and it may just take a clear shot right on down. You don't really know, but I do see that there's a lot of basing going on. There's a lot of price action for several days right in this area. It popped back up and now it's right back into this area again. So this is the area that I find to be the most significant. You take all this other stuff off, but you can just see it pretty clearly where the zones are. And I said, if you were to draw your Fibonacci's from up here to pivot low down here, again, you can see this is where this is where the price has been hanging out the most. Once it breaks here, it's going to go back into this area, but this would be a significant point down here that you'd be paying attention to. And if you draw your fib lines in between the red and the green, you'll probably find out you're going to have a lot of basing. You'll find out where the price is going to be hanging out again. This is not all by happenstance. What time frame? If I draw this over here, you'll see that there's been a lot of price action right in this area. Once it breaks, the price action is going to be over in here. Now that didn't hang out very long in this area. It didn't hang out very long, but you can see where it comes back down. It got rejected. Comes back up, falls right back in this area. This is a significant area right in here. This is where you want to spend most of your time fighting the charts. That area right in here. Should find a different template for that. Mid-zone, we'll call it mid-zone. Every time it comes in here, then look and see where the thirds are in this area. Comes down here, take it long. Goes up here, get out of it. If it goes up to the next area, you can actually even probably just take this chart and see there's some more lot price action. But identify the zones where it's hanging out the most, and then just try and find the upper and lower 25. Watch for the trend, watch for the breaks, and just go for your 7 pips and just do that over and over again. And that's about all I have to say. Did that help any? Did that make anything clear to anybody, or I just confused the bejeebies out of everybody today? Hopefully it was helpful. Anyways, go ahead.
I think they understand. It's very helpful.
Okay, good. All right. Well, my time's up today. I need to hit the road again, but I will see everybody back again tomorrow. I'll be on my desktop again tomorrow, which will make things a little bit easier for me. I appreciate and love every one of you coming into the room. And again, feel free to ask questions. We'll make sure we try and keep your mics turned on so you have that ability. And and if you have, email me at trademasters.com, and we'll see if we can help get you some of these things that we're struggling to get here. So with that, have a safe day, and we'll see everybody tomorrow. Thanks for coming in.
Everybody, just a quick reminder that my session will be starting in half an hour. So if you guys are into the crypto index side of things, come and join me in half an hour in my room.
Thanks for reminding me. Yeah, thanks Eva for saying that. I meant to say
no
that.
No problem.
But yeah, we need to get that plug. We need to get your plug in there so get everybody.
Yeah, you got to do it, right? You got to do it.
Right. Yeah. So I'll see if I can be in there. I may not be able to be in there very long today, but I'll try and meet you there. So
yeah,
anyway,
no worries.
Again, thanks again, and we'll see everybody tomorrow.
Okay, see y'all tomorrow.
Be safe, stay green.
Yeah, bye-bye.